Welcome to the Earthy Black Girl vlog. Let's get into it. So we are trying out a new camera today. I actually ended up unaliving my GoPro when I went to Hawaii. I wanted to get some cute like underwater swimming shots when we were in the ocean, and it turns out the handle I was using was not waterproof. And I got the shots, but shortly after, my GoPro decided it no longer wanted to work anymore. So here we are with a new little camera, getting it acquainted with my favorite place to be. Hold on, where am I? All trails. Okay. I don't know about y'all, but there was such an aggressive switch from summer and it being hot and muggy to 2 days of decent weather, beautiful like fall vibes, the leaves were changing, and now it's just cold. I think technically we are still in fall, but as far as I'm concerned, fall is basically over where I'm at. It has been raining just about every single day off and on for the past week, and it seems like that is going to pretty much be the foreseeable future here. But I'm making it a mission to continue to hike and get outside, even if it is cold, even if it is raining, because that is just the reality of where I live. And I feel like last year when I moved up here, I definitely isolated a lot inside at home just because I was unfamiliar with the terrain, and honestly I just wasn't used to how cold it is here, how the conditions are pretty consistently not the best to hike in, I guess, from what I'm used to. So since moving to Washington, I've unintentionally cut back on a lot of the hiking that I usually do, and it was sad. This time last year was right before we actually moved up here, and I remember getting up here and being so excited with the terrain and everything and the prospect of hiking, and then literally doing nothing. So we're trying to change that this year. In honor of putting action to my words, I thought that I would do like a 4-mile hike today and vlog it. I don't know, chit chat, yap. I wanted to run a thought by y'all. It's a thought that I actually had when I ran my 31K trail run in Arizona in the desert. I feel like when I was doing that trail, I found myself giving myself a lot of affirmations that I wasn't necessarily planning on giving myself. I feel like it's always interesting to kind of like observe yourself and your thought process when you're doing challenging things like that, because I find that I am extremely affirming to myself. I just found myself giving myself a lot of reassurance and affirmations and really just like talking myself through that experience, because it was the first time that I'd done a 19K. That was the first time that I had ran that distance, and so I didn't really know how I would be in that situation, how I would feel while I was out there, and I ended up feeling really great. One of the things that just came to mind was never stop doing hard things, never stop challenging yourself, never stop pushing yourself. And of course within that, we do have the responsibility to take care of ourselves and to put our health and well-being first. But overall, like being in that position and doing something I'd never done before and knowing it was physically taxing, something that my body has never had to do before, I realized really early on in the run how good it felt and how much joy came from the fact that I was doing something that if you had told me in the beginning of the year I'd be running 19 miles in the dark in the desert, I would have been like, me? I'm doing that? Running 19 miles in the dark in the desert was definitely not on my 2024 bingo card. It was just like a really emotional experience in a way that I had not imagined it to be, and it felt really good. And that was kind of like my biggest takeaway. Putting ourselves in positions where we have to adapt and we have to think on our feet and we have to keep pushing can lead to so much internal expansion, introspection. While I was out there, all I had was my thoughts. I was listening to music, but at the same time, like, the music was just something to keep my mind busy. It was merely just this like partial distraction, and for the most part it was just me out there feeding into myself and pouring as much love as I could into myself. And from that experience, I feel like my perception of what it is I'm capable of has just like completely been blown out of the water. And it sort of just like reminded me how much I love doing things that challenge me and putting myself in new situations, because I'm definitely guilty of getting comfortable and finding my little cozy corner in life and just sticking to it. And it's nice to do things that challenge that comfort and introduce us to a greater context for life. Uh-oh, just ran into a road. I need to see where I am. Hold on, because you guys have to see this. Look how gorgeous. It's so beautiful. I get so happy when I'm outside. I don't know how you can't be happy when you're out here. Wait, hold on, because I'm such a nerd. Look at this little guy. Get a better angle. Obviously, a little beat up. It's probably like the most interesting mushroom that I have found in Washington thus far. It was pretty beat up, so I feel like I couldn't even make like a confident call on what kind of mushroom it is. But if you're watching this and you know what kind of mushroom that is, comment it below. This is what I'm talking about. I want to get better at foraging and just having a full understanding of what I am in the presence of. I don't know, that was just like, at the time it just seemed like a really profound thought that I had, and an understanding that I sort of came to while I was on the trail out there in that moment. And I thought I'd share it just because I feel like we all need to be reminded every once in a while to do hard things and to challenge ourselves and to push ourselves. Constantly being in that state can be super exhausting, and it could feel more like a defeat when we don't see the results that we want to and we don't feel as good as we thought we would while in that position. But I think looking back on all the moments where I felt like I was being the most challenged and tested and just super uncomfortable with where I'm at, so much growth came from those moments. And it wasn't always something that I was able to see in the moment. Obviously, it doesn't always feel good, but as I've learned to reflect and to appreciate those challenging times, I think I can at least recognize how those moments reflect who I am now and what I've been through. This was a really good experience, and it was a really positive, challenging experience, and that's really what I'm trying to get out in saying all of this. Yeah, I think I'm about to start rambling, so I'm gonna just stop there. All of that to say, don't forget to challenge yourself. Don't forget to do things that push you, and it's nice every once in a while to do something that keeps you on your toes. Anywho, now that that thought is out of the way, I'm like 2 miles in, so I'm about halfway there. Hopefully y'all can see how beautiful this area is from this space on both sides of me, because I haven't really been doing a good job showing you a full 360 of where I'm at. But this trail is surprisingly like a mixed bag, and it's quite nice. I had a fun interaction the other day while I was at a more local park. I was there filming content for a brand, and this lady approached me. She was there with her dog, and basically she just asked what I was doing, because, well, first she asked if she was disrupting my video process because she's there with her dog and her dog was barking. I was like, oh no, you're totally fine. And so she came over and, you know, we were talking about the content creation and stuff and what I do. But it was pretty cool because I was sort of explaining to her how a lot of the content that I make is outdoor content like this and hiking vlogs, and a big reason why I do it is just for advocacy of a more diverse audience and a more diverse group of folks out here on the trail experiencing this natural beauty. And essentially I was just kind of like telling her how growing up I was very much acquainted with these types of spaces and I loved it, but I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions about who enjoys the outdoors and, you know, who these spaces are for. And truthfully, it's not as much of a misconception as it is just an overall lack of accessibility for a lot of folks. But within that comes the idea that, you know, Black people don't go outside, like it's a white people thing, yada yada yada. I know we've all heard it before. And so I was telling her that, and I don't know, she was so like calm and just like, yeah, no, that's so true. And she's like, yeah, no, I hike a lot and it's so pleasant, but I always look around and I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're all so white. I just thought it was a cool interaction because it's not really a topic I shy away from, regardless of who I'm talking to. And it was just kind of interesting to see how she was very much just like in agreement and just like, yes, like what you're doing is great. Like I would also love to see a more diverse group out here. Like that's really cool. I feel like whenever I tell people that, I don't generally receive negative responses, but some people have been like, oh, like I hadn't noticed that. Oh, that is true. Like I do see a more diverse image when it comes to marketing for these brands and stuff. And so it's kind of cool to see how people react and where they kind of fall on that awareness, and if it's something they've noticed before, if it's something that they've noticed but don't care, or if they're just like, oh yeah, for sure, like what you're doing is important, it's needed. So I thought that was kind of fun. I feel like with the content that I make, I generally do attract like-minded folks and people of color who are outdoorsy, or people who want to get outdoors more. So sometimes it kind of just feels like I'm preaching to the choir, which can lead to me feeling less inclined to talk about getting outdoors and being the diversity that you want to see in these spaces. So it's always nice to come across people who don't necessarily relate to that struggle or that sort of like mission, and just sort of be reminded about how impactful it is to do what I'm doing and to lead by example. And I know there's so many people that are doing the same exact thing as me because I follow them and I support them. And so it's just nice to see people that really uplift the work that you're trying to do and see the purpose and the value in it. I've been wanting to form some type of a hiking collective, hiking group, or just a general lifestyle and outdoor adventure group for a while now. And there's a couple things holding me back from doing that. One, I think I have never trusted the internet, and I never know who my content is being showed to, and being in such a vulnerable space as the outdoors, away from internet sometimes, connection, safety, and just like a means to protect myself in those situations, I feel like I've held back a lot in creating that. I still have no idea exactly what it would look like for me to form a hiking group, but I have been talking to a couple people, and hopefully this could be the start of something, just because I think past making content alone, like I think there's also just a need for people to feel like they can show up and have a community in these spaces apart from just the pure desire and an accessibility standpoint. And for all the content I make on hiking blogs and all of that, I would love to actually host the space and share this experience with people. And for my own selfish reasons as well, I also just want a hiking group. Like either I'm hiking by myself, I do hike with friends on occasion, and of course I hike with Dapo, my partner, so I'm not always alone in these ventures, but it would be so nice to have a bigger group and do things that I haven't done before. Like I've never backpacked before. I would love to backpack with a group, you know, maybe hiking trips or just other fun outdoor adventures that exist. I would say in general, I'm a pretty like individualistic person, and I love my alone time and my free time and the freedom that comes with hiking by yourself and doing these things alone. But it's also nice to have a group and to have people around you with common interests and common goals. And yeah, I feel like I just have never really captured that within this world of hiking and being an earthy black girl. Anywho, I took a break from recording because I was going the wrong direction. Oops. I have like a mile or so left before I get back to my car, but my phone battery is dying, which means I want to now just prioritize getting back because I do not know this trail. I'm just gonna focus on getting back safely. Let's see. Y'all, we're at 3.33 miles right now. Message. We're at 3.34 miles and we have 1.44 to go. So I think I'm just gonna lock in a little bit and end the video here. I really hope in the future I can be in a position where I can host public events or do trips or just do something that really just solidifies these communities and validates its existence. Not that it needs validation, because I literally see how y'all show up for me and it's really appreciated. So as always, thank you so much for watching and happy healing. All right, bye y'all.